hate losing, and winning's, I don't know, I love it.
I think Dane, if I had to describe him, he would be my wild child. He loves sport. Loves sport.
Being on the rugby field is like, there's nothing like it. It's the best place to be. And just that whole brotherhood in a rugby team is something that you don't find regularly.
He loves animals, he loves people, he loves life. I've got a photograph where he's standing with his arms. He's got the whole world in his arms. That's Dane. That's my child. Dane was doing very well in his rugby. They played a rugby test.
There would be selectors and scouts there. That was like your first step getting to the national team.
That's what they were all playing for, and that's what they were all aiming for.
After the game, I remember thinking, oh, this is going to be a good season.
On the 13th of March, everything stopped. Dead.
It was Sunday, March the 13th.
That's when we went to this farm. Dane had a girlfriend at this time. Her name was Janine.
My mom knew the guy from the farm whose farm it was, and all the lions that lived on his farm. And yeah, every couple of weeks we'd go there and just like sit there, have a couple of drinks and watch the lions, and sometimes even feed the lions. Every time you'd go there, you'd learn something new about their behavior and see when they're aggressive, when they're irritated, and when they're playing.
You would look forward to going there. You liked going there.
The size and the immense power of that animal was, yeah, that was intriguing. Loved it.
Dane loves the nature. And I think every time we went anywhere in nature was very good for him.
It was really normal, average day. A good hot day. Sunny, good weather, no wind. Actually, a great day.
The rugby thing was a major thing for him, so I think he was a bit stressed, waiting to hear if he was part of the team. It was quite an opportunity for him to have a day with these lions all around you and that kind of stuff.
We got there about, I don't know, I think about at 4. We all went to feed the lions and look, watch them. Oh, we threw the meat over the fence. All of them would just get in there, grab it and run. Then one would like go and chase one to try and get it out of his mouth. Every time that something would fall in the cage, they would go for it. It was like a frenzy over that piece of meat.
They would run and grab this piece of meat, and it's quite scary.
The power in that animal, 1 or 2 lions can pull down a buffalo.
Afterwards, we all got drinks and so on. And then Dane said, Mom, I'm going to show Janine the lions up there. Dane wanted to show her this whole farm and the whole environment, what it looked like and so on. And I said, that's fine, you can go.
I took Janine up to the enclosures where the lions were. At that time, I didn't think it was dangerous to go close to the enclosures and interact with the lions. Janine has never done that before, and for her to experience something like that was quite special.
The gates were all locked. Nobody could get in there. They couldn't get out either, the lions. I wasn't nervous at all that he actually went there. Because he knows, well, as far as we know, nothing could happen because those animals are in enclosures.
As we walked along the fence, we would see the lions inside, and one specific lion would walk next to us. I sat down with my legs in front of me. The lion that was walking with us came and lay down on the other side of the fence, half a meter from my feet. And that's where it all began. He was just sitting there and watching you. The lion was so at peace. It was so peaceful, just sitting there and watching you. The fence, as it went into the ground, it was rusted there, so I couldn't see the hole. I think the lion knew there was a hole in the fence. It was not even a couple of minutes. And then it was so fast. He hooked his paw underneath the fence. As it hit me, it felt like somebody just tapping me on the ankle. I thought I would just tear it out and get out of there. But it hooked me in my ankle and in my heel. The nail went through my skin and in the bone. There was no way I was getting out of there. And then it started pulling me in. I didn't even see the second one coming from the side. The two of them started to pull me through. I felt the power of the lion pulling me through. I remember I said, Janine, go call my mom. I knew this was not going to end well. I just remember, as I told her to go call my mom, I saw her running. I couldn't hear her screaming. I was just with these two huge animals on my leg. There was no way that I could pull myself back. But now the fence was on my hips, and that's when the third lion came. I knew they would definitely kill me. I saw I'm not going to get out of this. As I laid there, I saw my life. Literally, I saw my life flashing before my eyes. I saw my dogs, school, friends, parents. I thought, I can't die here. I wanted to get out of there, and I wanted to continue living, and there's so much more stuff in life that I want to do and accomplish.
While we were chatting, I could hear these lions roaring, but in a way I have never heard them roar. I've heard them roar when they play or when they call each other, but this was different. I thought, why are they roaring like that? And when I looked up, I saw Janine coming, running from the top. And Dane wasn't there. Well, I knew something was wrong, and I flew up. All that Janine could get out was, there's a problem. And I said to her, get into the house, and I started running. I kicked my shoes off, and I ran.
I covered my neck and my face the whole time and just laid still completely, playing dead. I think if I tried to fight him, if I tried to hurt him, he would definitely retaliate and kill me.
As I ran up, I swung my head this way. All my hair went into my face, into my eyes. And then it went dead quiet. And what I was seeing wasn't making sense. Two lions over his legs and one on top of his head. The sound came back. screamed and I kicked and I ripped this fence. I didn't know what to do. It's my child in there and I'm standing on the side of the fence and I can't get to him. I've got to do something. They will kill him. He screamed. He said, "More, help me more." And then he went very quiet.
What went through my mind the whole time was just pretending to be dead, lie completely still, and when you get a gap, or just get up.
I cannot tell you how frustrating and how pathetic and small I felt standing on that side. That you cannot help him. And he's laying there, and there's 3 huge lions on top of your child. It felt like I failed him in that time. Because I've always been there. I've always protected him with everything. And now I'm not doing anything and I cannot do anything. I don't know what to do.
I knew my mom was next to the fence. I could hear my mom scream. There's no way for anyone to get in there. You kind of get to that choice. You either get up and do something, or you die.
The 2 lions that was on his legs started fighting over him. They raised themselves, fighting with each other. That's when I grabbed this fence again and I went totally mad. I screamed so much. The one that was on him, he lifted himself and he lifted those claws out of Dane. And as he looked at me, Dane got up.
Somehow I got up when the exact same time when he was off me. I don't know how or why, but a stick lay next to me and I picked it up. I turned my back and started moving towards the fence.
And he came to me and he was standing right in front of me like this.
The lion turned around and came towards me. I shouted, "No, no," repeatedly.
Hit him, Dane, hit him. He was with me now, but I could still not do anything for him. I was trying to hold on to him with a fence so that he could at least feel that I'm there, that I'm holding on to him.
As I shouted no, I would wave the stick at him and try to hit him in the face.
That they sort of kept the stick distance from Dane. And we walked to the top of the gate.
The lion could have taken me out any time. With one jump, I would have been gone.
And then Solo came.
One lion, his name is Solo. He's a beautiful lion, but he was huge.
He was in the corner on the other side, and as Dane reached the gate, Solo started walking towards us. Then the guy came and they had a bunch of keys.
The lion's coming. I can hear the keys are here, but will there be enough time to get me out of this?
Solo came closer and closer and closer, and he dropped his head.
I knew this thing was going to kill me.
The first key they put in the lock opened. And I grabbed him at the collar and I ripped him. I think he flew out of there.
It was kind of a feeling of relief knowing that it's over now. I'm not going to get hurt anymore. It felt comforting to have humans around you. The whole thing was, it was a miracle. I don't know if it's because of the shock or adrenaline. I couldn't see any color at all. It was all black and white. And then everything just came back to normal. Seeing that happen to you was quite weird.
It's probably the adrenaline or whatever, but this child is walking.
I knew it was bad, but I thought it was a couple of stitches bad.
And as I looked to the front, I just saw this blood.
I had an army green shirt on, And I remember looking down at my chest and just seeing the red becoming bigger and bigger and bigger.
I knew that something major was wrong here, but I wasn't going to look and I wasn't going to ask him. The only thing I wanted to do was get to the hospital as quick as possible.
It looked kind of like a piece of meat hanging out of my calf. It was not real.
There wasn't a time for ambulance, there wasn't time for a helicopter.
I got worried because my mom and Janine were both so shocked and both of them crying.
We phoned the hospital and told them my child was attacked by a lion and I'm on my way there. While we were driving, he said, Ma, how far is it still? Because it's starting to burn now.
I felt it started burning over most of my body because almost everywhere I had cuts and lacerations.
When we got there, they were already waiting for him.
Everybody busy and putting drips and pipes and stuff.
The trolley passed me, gone. All of a sudden, it was this quietness. Nobody running, nobody around me, just me. I knew Dane was injured very badly. Dane is my son. Parents don't bury their children. I cannot tell you what the time span was. It felt like forever. He wasn't supposed to die. They operated for about 5 hours. And then they told me that they nearly lost him. The surgeon came to me and he said, we'll have to do some transplant of skin because he had two big, huge gaps where the lion bit him. Because of the muscles being so shredded, they had to cut 3 centimeters away. And he said, because of that, Dane will probably never do sport again. That was one of the saddest things of this whole event. This accident for my child.
Waking up in ICU, I'm lying there the whole day and not moving. I'm not used to surgeries and needles and hospitals. And I remember thinking about the rugby. I asked her mom what's going to happen to my rugby. And my mom was crying.
I didn't know what to say to him.
I think that was about the first time that I thought that I would never be able to walk again. It was shattering, wasn't fun at all.
Once his rugby friends started coming to visit, then that was fine. Then you could accept it and it helped. Dane was determined to play rugby, definitely. He was positive, he was going to get well. And 2.5 months later, he started walking. It was quite a shock to see that. There's Dane, he's playing rugby. He's running around. He's not walking with a limp. He's got a lot of scars to show. But he still does his thing. It hasn't stopped him. Dane is still what he was. He's still got that spirit.
I think I became such a more positive or stronger person after the whole experience. All in all, I'm glad the way it turned out, because my life is it's richer and much more fuller. I enjoy life so much more.
I never had the fear of death when I went to Iraq. Usually what hits you first is the heat. In Iraq, the heat just kind of whooshes in, and then you just start sweating.
I'll tell you, it was very hard when you walk onto this base that's all concrete and dust. And you realize, this is the only place that I'm gonna be for the next 5 months.
It was hard knowing that I would not see my husband for 5 months. I remember leaving for Iraq. I was just crying like a baby. I could tell in his face that he was sad too, but he was trying to be, strong for the both of us. My husband's military. My father is a retired Army major. I'm giving to my country, and military is in my blood. My job is a biomedical equipment technician, or a medical maintenance. I fix hospital equipment. Being in the military, it's definitely like a family. I've met so many different people.
In the Air Force, you're all family. We're identifiable, obviously, by the clothes that we wear, by the uniform that we wear, but it's carried at a lot deeper level than that.
The bonds are created across a combat situation, which can't be mimicked, really, in a civilian environment.
It was definitely a benefit knowing that we already knew each other going there. We definitely had a sense of camaraderie there.
We all had call signs. When you're calling someone by your call sign, that is kind of like a term of endearment almost. My call sign was Catfish. Off duty, I knew her as Money.
The greatest risk to us personally was from inbound indirect fire attacks, which would be mortars, rockets.
There were lots of car bombs.
It was a little bit scary when mortars hit close to us. When something like that happens, you know, you stop and you think, wow, I'm really in Iraq.
They tell you a number of things just to be careful of what to look out for while you're there. And animals are one of them. Scorpions, snakes, and camel spiders were definitely on the list of animals to stay away from. You're always paying attention. There are just certain things that you do every single day to take certain security measures and things like that. On your way to and from work, take a different route. When you walk around, carry your Kevlar vest with you and your helmet. You know, you take that to work. The Army soldiers always carry a weapon. You know, they tell you to look out for suspicious activity, pay attention to detail. Every day you're definitely paying attention. I went to a bazaar. Where Iraqis would come on and sell different things.
Merchants from around the area who had been cleared to come on and sell their products.
I purchased blankets at the bazaar. I was gonna mail them to my husband for our anniversary. That night, I stayed up to watch the Michigan-Ohio State game. My husband is a big Ohio State fan, so, you know, I stayed up to watch the game so we could talk about it the next day. I had a lot of blankets on my bed. I must have been really tired. So I don't remember, you know, much of the game. The next thing I remember, about 5 or so in the morning, I felt something crawling on my ear. And I swiped my ear with my hand and got stung on my ring finger. And I didn't think anything of it. And then I got stung again on my left side. The second sting is when I got out of bed, because I was like, you know, something's in here. And I was thinking, you know, maybe it's a camel spider, I don't know. Something is here that shouldn't be. I knew I wasn't gonna go back into that bed until I found whatever had stung me. I just kept on looking. And when I looked down, that's when I saw the scorpion on the ground. It was very small, maybe the size of my pinky. I didn't really think much of it. I put it in a Q-tip box. I wasn't feeling sick or anything like that. I felt 100%. I really wasn't afraid or anything like that. I went next door to one of my coworkers who worked in public health. I went and I got her and I said, you know, what should I do? Because I felt fine. And I didn't think that I might need to go to the hospital. And she was like, yeah, you know, maybe you should just go and get checked in. And some other folks had woken up and came to look at it. And so, you know, I just decided to get dressed into my PT gear. It stung me, and, you know, it's a sharp pain at first, but then I felt fine, you know, because I think if I had been in a lot of pain, then I would have been like, oh, you know, I definitely need to go to the hospital. But I felt, you know, 100%. So I was kind of like, well, I'll just go to show them where I got stung and make sure everything's okay so I can go back to sleep.
she came in, we were all kind of not really expecting anything to happen. I thought, oh, I haven't really ever taken care of a scorpion sting before.
The only thing is that my ring finger did start to swell. I didn't know how big it was going to swell, especially because that's where I was stung first. So I had to take my wedding ring off and put it on my necklace.
One of my technicians went ahead and checked her in, checked her vital signs.
My vital signs were okay.
She wasn't having any symptoms, swelling at the site where she had been stung on her finger, and that was it. And then I said, well, I'm gonna see if I can figure out what this is, because time is of the essence if it's something that's really dangerous.
She started making phone calls to, I guess, like poison control centers and contacting other bases just to see what the protocol was.
I took the scorpion from her to try to match it up to one of the scorpions in their bottles and couldn't, and decided that it was time to wake up our public health officer, who was also a veterinarian.
I'm starting to feel different and I need to calm down. I actually thought that it was just my mind playing tricks on me.
Our public health officer looked down at the container and his face turned white.
It wasn't a good look.
He said, "This is a death stalker." And I said, "That's bad, isn't it?" And he said, "Yes." I immediately went back to Sergeant Harris again to make sure that she was still doing okay.
My throat was closing and I was shaking a little bit and my breathing was changing.
The stakes rose when we found out that it was a death stalker, but we didn't have anti-venom in our facility. And we started waking up people like Colonel Storms.
I was struck by the fact they would even call me at that point, because usually a scorpion sting, you put ice on it, sit them over in the corner for a couple of hours, go home and you're fine.
My throat started to feel tighter. It was happening quickly. This is not normal. I'm not sure what's going on. The venom definitely started to take effect. I was feeling weak. I started shaking and I didn't know what was going on.
When I arrived at the hospital, Sergeant Harris is on a stretcher, and she looks anxious. After being stung by a scorpion, most folks do just fine. Well, she sort of wasn't getting better.
And I felt like my throat was starting to close. They put an oxygen mask on me, and that's all that I remember.
This particular scorpion can cause cardiotoxicity, basically kill you through a heart failure.
We did not have scorpion anti-venom in our facility. The only stock that existed in the country of Iraq existed at Balad. Balad was a dangerous helicopter flight away. Simply flying is very risky because you could be shot down. So if you took someone who is going to have a very easily survivable envenomation sting and you throw them in a helicopter gets shot down halfway there, you've done nobody any favors. There's that magic moment where you go, risk, benefit, worth the risk, you need the anti-venom, we gotta get you out of here. And at that point, her eyes are taped shut. She's got a ventilatory tube in her lungs, and she's on the monitors. First couple of minutes, business as usual. Her vital signs are very good, but she's got a good bounding pulse. Her blood pressure's good. Her tube's in good position. I was actually starting to get pretty comfortable. I said, well, this is going really well so far. You should never think that. Mona and I thought, this is going pretty well so far. Her nice, stable blood pressure bottomed out like a rock. We had 20-odd minutes left in a 41-minute trip, and I had no blood pressure. You can do that for about 4 minutes before you die. thought came very clearly to the front of my mind, that this is one of our own people. I absolutely cannot let this woman die at my hands in transit. She did not die in the sense that you might expect, where someone's heart stops. It just can't generate an effective pulse. It can't pump blood in a way that would sustain her organs. I pulled out my epinephrine syringe that I had brought for that express purpose to give her, at that point, a cc of epinephrine. And then we watched her response to that. And she responded just a bit. And then the challenge is to deliver enough of the medication, but not too much. If you give too much, you can throw the heart into an irregular rhythm called ventricular fibrillation. And I was not in a situation there that I could have done a lot with ventricular fibrillation. I'd have been obliged to ask them to land the helicopter, and in that environment, that would have been exceedingly dangerous. If I didn't give enough, then she would not have enough squeeze in the system to generate the blood pressure. And so getting her just on that fine edge was the challenge through the remainder of the flight. The last 20 minutes was second by second, meaning I would dribble a little bit in, assess her response, then we'd lose some ground. I'd dribble a little more in, assess her response, then we'd lose some ground. Probably more concern swept through my mind at that point than any other time about not just having her arrive in one piece, but having her arrive and not end up a vegetable because of losing the blood support to the brain over an extended period of time. I brought 4 syringes. Normally I'd bring 1. As we were still just a couple of minutes out, I had to start using my final dose of epinephrine. I'm on the last syringe and we're not there yet. The helicopter touches down. They're on a full run. Concern swept through my mind at that point. She'd have suffered significant brain damage. We did not leave the helicopter on the ground any longer than we absolutely had to. I was the flight surgeon, so when I'm off station, there isn't one. So once I had passed the story along, I had to get back out, get on a helicopter and fly back to Kirkuk. We got her situated in a trauma bay and then administered the antivenin very quickly. It's difficult to leave one of your family members back there, even in good hands, because I felt pretty responsible for her at this point. As I hopped back on the helicopter to fly out, I was quite concerned that we would not be able to get any brain function back on her, that I would have left a vegetable. I was of an opinion that we had saved the patient but lost the brain. That remained my concern until I got word that she had woken up, looked around and was responsive.
As soon as I woke up, I thought, you know, I don't know what just happened. I didn't know how long I had been in that bed at that hospital. I did not know that I had been so close to death. I just knew that my body had been through something traumatic. As soon as I was better, I wanted to go back to Iraq and finish my tour. I like to finish something that I've started. I got back and I felt so welcomed, you know. It was a big, like, welcoming back home, and I was so happy to be back.
soon as she saw me, she ran up and gave me a big hug, and you know, we talked about what had happened and how thankful we were, not only that she was alive, that she was completely healthy and came back to us ready to go in one piece.
When I got back to Kirkuk, I spoke to, Dr. Gamble and Dr. Storms, and they told me the type of scorpion that it was, the third most venomous in the world. They started calling me the Scorpion Queen. When you deploy to Iraq, if you're in danger, you think about mortars, you think about car bombs and things like that. You really don't think about scorpions. When the deployment was over, I realized how short life really is. And I said, you know what? It's time for me to maybe, start a family. So I got pregnant, I had a daughter, and she is the love of my life.
I don't want this to be the focus of her life. I don't want her to be defined in any way by one really miserable day. I want her to be defined by a loving family, a gorgeous child, and a loving husband.